What's the difference between an O&M, orientation and mobility instructor, an orthoptist, an OT, which is an occupational therapist, and an AT, like me, an access technology specialist? Let's find out.
Data Australasia. Guided by lived experience, led by you.
Hi again, everybody, and thank you for joining me. I'm Elise Lonsdale from Data Australasia. Okay, so the question was, as I said at the beginning, what's the difference between an OT, AT, O&M, and a orthoptist? Well, they are the four main disciplines that Blindom breaks down into when offering teaching, or some people still call it therapy. Now, there's a debate raging at the moment. Should we call all this therapy or should we call it training? We'll come back to that point shortly. Okay, an OT is pretty obvious. We see them right across the area of allied health and disability, and that is an occupational therapist. They will teach a person how to do things if they've, basically assist them if they've got, limbs missing, or they've got a sensory disability such as hearing or sight loss, and other aspects. In the case of low vision and blindness, they'll assist particularly a newly blinded person how to pour a cup of tea without having themselves get scalded, how to cut safely and use a knife, how to maybe, peel potatoes safely or grate carrots. That's the work of an OT, occupational therapist. They may also help people around the house or assist them to, do daily household chores like vacuuming, cleaning. Even though we've got some wonderful supports provided by the NDIS these days, it's still nice that people want to learn these skills and how to adapt their daily living. Some people used to call it in New Zealand, where I worked 10 years ago, adaptive daily living. Well, there are some other trendy names for it. I'm just trying to think of one now, which is assistive daily living, I think, is one they're using here at the moment. Whatever the term is, that's what it is. That's occupational therapy. Then there's orientation and mobility. That is where we have a person who can train you, and that still comes under the therapy code. And there's, again, a debate raging in the blind community. Is it therapy or is it training? This isn't just teaching people how to hop on a train or a bus or a tram or a ferry. This is teaching people routes, safe ways to travel, and, there might be a traffic island that around near a roundabout that splits the road, and it might mean that a person has to walk, maybe 200 metres out of their way to cross that road safely and cross one lane in each direction, stop on the median or the island, and then cross the other side of the road. That's probably safer, even though it might be a slight inconvenience to walk that extra few hundred metres to do that, than to try and cross a road without, traffic control or cars coming at you from both directions. The other thing O&Ms will do is that they will teach you how to use the ground surface indicators, how they work at the particular train stations, where they might lead or where they might not lead. They might give you the instructions on and assist you to use a particular bus stop. I was doing a reconnaissance a few months ago with a very good O&M, who's a friend of mine, around Croydon Station here in Melbourne, where we looked at the new bus terminal that was built with the new overhead train station, part of this SkyRail thing that they're putting up here in Victoria. So that if I move to Croydon, or if for some reason I need to use that station, I know my way around it. I know where the stairs are, I know where the lifts are, I know where the bus station is relative to the station. I know that there are something like about 10 bus stops all in a circle, or sort of like a square, but you come out in the centre of between, I think, A and K, and to the left you've got all the A, B, C, D, Z, and then it goes around to the other parts of the alphabet. And you learn where each of those stations are, or each of those bus stops are, relative to where you are and relative to where they are. And you'll also learn things, what buses stop at what route. Now, you may not remember all of them, but you'll remember the ones you need to get to your job. And that's what an O&M does, an orientation and mobility specialist. Then you've got the orthoptists. Now, for people who are totally blind or do not have any functional vision, this is irrelevant in many respects because they'll help you with task lighting similar to that of an OT, but they'll also help you with magnifiers. Sometimes those magnifiers have lights in them. They can be just lens analog magnifiers, or these days video magnifiers, particularly portable video magnification devices are becoming quite popular. Even though, in my opinion, I think many of the common Androids and iPhones would outclass them, but that's a video for another time. The NDIs would rather pay for these devices than mobile phones, even though mobile phones have some very, very wonderful accessibility features and magnification pieces of software that come installed or that you can put on them. Then you've got the access technologist. That's me. Now, an access technologist will teach you how to use the access technology that is involved in everyday Blindom life. That is, how to use your iPhone with speech, how to use your iPhone maybe with Braille, refreshable Braille, or how to use specialised pieces of software such as JAWS for Windows, NVDA, and Apple VoiceOver. These are what are termed as screen reading software, and I'm going to do another video and demonstrate that in the very near future, what a screen reader is. But a screen reader or a piece of screen reading software is actually software that will read particular parts of the screen, not just ramble the entire toolbars down to the document, down to the status bar, and all the miscellaneous pieces of information that, yes, you do get whilst you're sighted, but your brain filters out. When you're writing a document or maybe typing an email or reading a text message or reading an incoming email, you are only interested in what is on that screen where the email is, not all the toolbars and bits and pieces of functionality. That's what a screen reader does, and it comes from the term screen reader, as in a person that would sit next to a blind computer programmer back in the 1970s and was intelligent enough to read the pertinent aspects of the screen to the blind person, so that person was termed a screen reader, and that name has been inherited by our wonderful pieces of software such as NVDA, JAWS, and Apple VoiceOver. And if you're an Android user, TalkBack. Or if you're a person using the Amazon devices like the Alexa that's probably behind me here somewhere, there is a screen reader built into that too, although not as technically savvy as the Windows-based ones, but still it is a screen reader. So they are the four disciplines, and sadly, very, very sadly, only this evening, I'm recording this video in early September 2025, where we are hearing many, many complaints about our National Disability Insurance Scheme. And only tonight I heard only O&M can teach access technology. Well, what a lot of rubbish that is. The O&M concerned is somebody up in Queensland whom I've worked with in the past. And they, I believe, are quite angry about this because the O&M will teach any self-respecting O&M, orientation and mobility instructor will teach a person how to can teach a person I wouldn't even say teach, but familiarise is probably a better term. Familiarise a client or an NDIS participant or whoever on the usage of particular GPS apps. Those GPS apps run on Androids and iPhones, and I'll do some demonstrations of those. But in order to use a GPS app on an iPhone, if you are blind or have low vision, you first need some foundational skills. The foundational skills are how to use the device in the first place and how to use the device with the access technology. Now, I've given this brief demonstration once before, and I'll quickly do it here. This is a typical home screen of a modern iPhone that I have here on the screen, and a sighted person will just flick between those home screen icons. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Just doing a physical gesture. There's the widget screen. So we'll come back to the home screen. If I want to look at my calendar, I just click on the calendar app and up comes my calendar. If I want to click on the news app, I'll tap the news app. I'm not doing a terribly good job because I'm looking at it from an acute angle. Here's the news app, and I can go through some articles I've been reading earlier this evening. I'll go back to the main feed if I can get it. There's the main Apple News feed. Now, I subscribe to Apple News. I also send text messages. I also read my email on this thing. I also use blindness-specific apps such as, some blindness-specific GPS apps, as well as some garden variety standard GPS apps such as the Apple Maps and the Google Maps app. But when you start VoiceOver,
VoiceOver on. Calendar. Choose actions. Characters.
I'm going to see if I can slow the speech down with a particular gesture on the rotor.
Actions. Live. Toggle live. Navigation. Start. Describe images. Activities. No activities. Activities. Audio ducking. Vertical navigation. Hints. Off. Punctuation. Sounds. On. Voices. Primary voice. Selected. Speech volume. 95%. Speaking rate. 70%. 60%.
Yep, and it's working on this phone. I'm running beta software at the moment, so sometimes the speech doesn't slow down, but I'll slow it down on this phone because I can.
55%.
I'll just set it to 55%. Now, there's a little box that has developed around the calendar icon, and I can, with the correct gesture, move that box from flicking from left to right.
Weather. Photos.
Camera. And then it will wrap to the next line.
Messages. Messaging folder.
That's a messaging folder with 4 apps in it that I've created.
Clock. 10:17 p.m.
10:17 p.m.
Maps. FaceTime.
Back to the FaceTime on the third row, and so on.
Watch. App Store,
etc.
iTunes Store.
Now,
App Store.
I hope it's coming out on this video, and I'll probably zoom it in post, but the little box is referred to as the VoiceOver cursor. Now, we have to understand that VoiceOver cursor, like any screen reader, it's where the focus is, and it's speaking what is inside the VoiceOver cursor, which in this instance was the App Store app. Now, I can also drag my finger around here.
Cat weather, for clock, App Store, emergency, YouTube, reminders, YouTube settings, YouTube.
But that's a bit random. But I can do that. They call that finger dragging or finger exploring. But when the box is around that icon or focus is set to that icon, in this case it's still sitting on the YouTube app, then I can perform a second gesture to open that. Now, the reason we break as I showed you before, we open the apps up just with a single finger tap. But a blind person can't do that, because if a blind person were to just feel the screen, they would trigger all sorts of unwanted apps that would cause them all sorts of grief. So we need to control and be a little bit smart, a bit like the screen reader, reading the intelligent or the pertinent parts of the screen. We need the phone only to do the job that the person intends. So when the focus is set round the icon in question, we can double tap anywhere on the screen. We don't even have to double tap on the icon. So I'm going to do something radical and double tap on the top of the screen where the icon isn't. And that's going to launch
YouTube Premium.
My YouTube app.
YouTube. Loading YouTube Premium.
Now we've seen that populate. I've just had to switch to another internet connection off camera. And now that we're back.
What power does the military have in disasters and pandemics? 19 minutes, 42 seconds. Go to channel. Constitutional Clarion 4.1
This is one of my favourite channels.
Play video. Go to channel. Button. Shorts. Action menu. Section 72 of the Australian Constitution. #shorts. 648.
If I want to look at one of these videos,
short. Go to what? Send feed.
Let me just double tap. This is Anne Termal from Sydney University, who does this Constitutional Clarion video that I've been following for some time. So to activate that, I would just double tap anywhere on the screen using the same confirming gesture that I used when I activated this app in the first instance. Double tap.
What power does the military video player?
And there she goes. So thank you, Anne. So now I can watch her video and enjoy that. She always starts off with those birds on Sydney Harbour.
Constitutional Clarion.
With a 2-finger double tap. I'll pause that for viewing later on. So we need to teach people these foundational gestures. Now, with the screen readers that come on the computer, that's JAWS, NVDA, and the VoiceOver that comes with the Mac, they're actually keyboard driven. In actual fact, the Mac one does allow some usage of the trackpad with the trackpad commanders. So we have to teach the people, or the participants, the virtues of using the keyboard, which is why we talk about another foundational skill, touch typing, and I'm very big on that, as many people and viewers to this channel will attest. So without those foundation skills, it's no good having a person running around with a piece of software, well, such as navigational software or GPS software, because the O&M instructor is usually fully sighted. There are some vision impaired people practicing, but let's say for the argument's sake, it will most likely be a fully sighted O&M instructor. And they will be used to using the app in sighted way, which means they'll be looking for the icon at the top of the screen or the one halfway down the left of the screen or some tabs across the bottom. Whereas a screen reader user will need to, for example, if we have a look at, say, Apple Maps.
Home. Maps. Clock. FaceTime. Maps.
They'll have to navigate that app as well as navigate where they're going. And that might be a bit too much cognitive load on them. All right, so the app is now available to us, running off the Telstra network. And
my location. Ringwood bypass. One way. East-west.
we can see that my location has been found. And by navigating around, I'm not too far away from the Ringwood bypass.
My location. Map. Ringwood bypass.
But there's a lot of work here to do. And we have to train people on how to use that technology. So the O&M may not choose to teach people that sort of stuff. In actual fact, won't teach them that stuff. O&Ms, OTs, orthoptists do not know enough about access technology to teach it properly. It's as simple as that, and they don't want to know. The reason they don't want to know is because they want to know about their craft. They will refer to us as we will refer to them if there's an O&M inquiry. And sometimes we've been known to, guess what, work together and collaborate, because they've got skills that I don't have and I have skills that they have. So for the NDIs to get things mixed up, it means that the NDIs need to probably pay a little bit more attention to how things work in Blindom. This is Elise Lonsdale. Thanks for watching. And as you know, with Access Technology, I do that as a job, and I have a business called Data Australasia, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
For fast, efficient access technology training and support, call Elise Lonsdale from Australia 0448 966 533. That's 0448 966 533. Or from New Zealand on 027 315 2858. That's 027 315 2858. Data Australasia. Guided by lived experience, led by you.